Religion. It's a matter of controversy all the time. Who believe what, who don't believe what, who should be doing this, who is going to heaven, who is going to hell, purgatory. You got all kinds of stuff. Let's take a look at some dark facts about world religions here in this one. Okay, welcome to Mr. Giant Reacts. A ting, a ting, and ting. Let's go ahead and YouTube and simmer and see the 10 facts that they choose to divulge here.
Polygamy, that was the last thing on my mind. I used to be scared of it.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're taking a closer look at 10 dark facts you didn't know about major world religions.
This trial, the Cadaver Synod, marked the beginning of one of the most corrupt eras in the history of the papacy.
For this list, we're looking at lesser-known practices, beliefs, and histories of major world religions that are shockingly dark. Let us know any interesting or dark facts you know about major religions in the comments below. The Book of Mormon states that God cursed Native Americans. The Book of Mormon has a unique take on North American history. It says that long before Europeans arrived in the West, a prophet from Jerusalem named Lehi came to America. His descendants split into two groups, the Lamanites and the Nephites.
The Book of Mormon covers 1,000 years of history of where these two tribes are always warring with each other. And one is generally religious, the other one is generally irreligious, and so forth. But eventually, one of these civilizations is wiped out by the other.
The Nephites were generally considered the more righteous of the two groups, while the Lamanites were portrayed as the wicked and sinful ones. The Book of Mormon suggests that the Lamanites were, quote, cursed with darker skin, to reflect their, quote, inherent evil.
As punishment, God turned their skin red. These are the Native Americans you know today.
Incidentally, until the 1978 revelation on priesthood, people of color were not allowed to join the priesthood. The LDS Church has since realized that this was an unattainable position and disavowed many of the racist beliefs and practices that were once prevalent.
You're saying, we know now that was wrong. We know that there's dark people's skin does not indicate any sort of spiritual inferiority, which they used to say.
Taoist impalements. In the West, we tend...
I tell you a story about the Mormons. Right after the invasion of my country, Protestants just swarmed the island. I mean, we had some before, but my country is mainly a Catholic country. But all these Protestant religions became prominent. The Mormons came. Oh Lord, I don't know if this story is funny or what you could say. I was young then. I was 18, 19. And that was back, it was 84, maybe 85, they showed up. And we're like, hey, we never heard of them before. New religion. We want to know, we want to learn. So me and a group of friends decided to go check them out, and they had their services in this house. Apparently, they had a couple of Grenadians who were Mormons, who used to live in Canada at the time, and they were back home living. So, they preaching the Bible stuff, and and then one day they mentioned the Book of Mormon, and start bringing that into the whole conversation. And we all went, wait, what is this all about? So then we went and we researched it, and the part where he said that in 1978 is when they first ding, light bulb moment, let's let some people of color into this church. And then this was 84. 78 was the first time you let people of color into the church, and now you're in a black country trying to get us to join you. Not only did you do that, not only did they do that, they sent one Caucasian person and a black guy from England. So you see, they're thinking, well, it's a British colony. Let's get a black person from England because they're going to relate to them. You know what I mean? Which we don't care. We didn't care about the color of your skin or nothing. If you come and you're pure and you're preaching your Bible, have at it. You know what I mean? We don't care, but they tried that. Well, we stopped going and stuff, and then all of a sudden, they were, somebody tried to break in their place and they suspected us. So one night we sitting on the block, which the side of the street is what we call block. The side of the highway is what we call the block. There wasn't really any blocks there. But we sitting there and they come running. So Somebody started pelting them with rocks. It wasn't so much to hit them, but it was to make them stay away, because they, they're very aggressive with the way they come at you, and very persistent. So we like, hey man, let's just throw some rocks at them. As far as I understand, their presence on the island wasn't big again until a couple of years later. But because I left 2 years later and came to this country. But that's my Mormon story right there. Let's keep going.
Tend to think of Winnie the Pooh as a Taoist icon.
Yes.
Yes! Oh my!
Due to The Tao of Pooh, the 1982 book that uses the resident of the 100-acre woods to explain the principles of the belief system. But Pooh Bear would be wildly out of place at the Taoist Vegetarian Festival held in Phuket, Thailand. The Vegetarian Festival, or Nine Emperor Gods Festival, is an event rooted in Taoist philosophy and culture. The festival involves a range of practices, including a piercing ritual meant to cleanse the soul.
People set up tables in front of the houses with offerings to all these gods. They stop by and bless all these people to be happy and to have a long life.
A variety of sharp objects are used to pierce the participants' bodies, most often through the cheek, and always without anesthetics. This is done as a form of spiritual cleansing, and it is believed to demonstrate the power of the gods and the strength of the participants' faith. Unfortunately, hospitalization for blood loss is not uncommon. The Vatican put a dead pope on trial.
Okay, so check this out. They're saying that about Buddhism, but there's religions here out in the mountains where I live that handle poisonous snakes, and they don't want to go to the hospital. But they think they're different from everybody else. When it's the same sort of idea, just a different ritual, a different belief. You know what I'm saying? We are a lot more alike than we are different, which we should need to recognize. If somebody's of a different religion, doesn't mean they're less human. And the rituals are going to be the same, only with different ceremonial events to facilitate those beliefs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's from because I've been to all different type of churches, because I'm inquisitive like that. And that's what. Let me give you an example, okay? And I know a lot of people are going to get upset when they hear that. I've been to voodoo meetings. I've also been to some Protestant church, and this this is kind of funny in a sort of way. The only difference I see when I went to this church was that, and I went to this church in Eastern Kentucky where there's very few black people, and the only difference I see is they weren't beating on drums, and it was a whole congregation of white people. But it felt like I was at a voodoo meeting. They were speaking in tongues, they were prancing around and getting on in the spirit, and just like carrying on. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, this kind of feels like a voodoo meeting without the drums. And I told my ex-wife that, how could you say that? Voodoo is witchcraft. Well, some religions think, all religions think the other religions is involved witchcraft. That's just the way it is. Let's get going here.
As a 2,000-year-old institution, the Catholic Church has many skeletons in the closet. Some of them are literal. In the year 897, Pope Formosus was put on trial by the Church. What made this trial unusual is that Formosus had been dead for 7 months. Successor Pope Stephen VI ordered the now rotting body exhumed and dressed in papal attire. Formosus was propped up onto a throne in the middle of the proceedings, accused of having illegally ascended to the papacy, and, you guessed it, found guilty. His body was dumped in the Tiber River, though later recovered. News of the affair spread, and the people of Rome rebelled against Pope Stephen.
Oh no, the Pope! Oh, someone do something!
And as a result, the verdict of the Cadaver Synod was later reversed. Shrita required...
I tell you, I was raised Catholic. And I'm the only child out of 4 that didn't get, I got first communion, but I didn't get confirmed. And I started to rebel against the Catholic Church because they looked down on my mom or the congregation looked down on my mom because she got divorced from my dad. My dad was not a very nice person. And I was young, but I was thinking, dude wasn't nice. So you wanted her to stay there and be abused because of the religion? I don't know if they still do that now, but they did it back then. You know, you get divorced, it's like a big sin. And that's when I started to like go away from the religion, because I was in the house, I saw what was going on. It wasn't a pleasant way to live, but they expect us to live and what, pray? And that's going to make it go away? What made it go away is she divorced him and he was gone. And I went, peace. My peace is more important than the belief. I'm sorry. And that's when I started to turn away from the Catholic Church. From a young age, I was like, why am I conforming? Why am I going to kneel and repent? What, you know?
Requires animals to be killed without anesthesia. Kashrut is the system of dietary laws and restrictions in some forms of Judaism. Restrictions like the prohibition of eating pork or shellfish are well known outside of the Jewish community.
My understanding of shechita, of kosher slaughtering, is that it brings the slaughterer into a very close proximity with the animal that's going to be processed.
Lesser known, however, are the methods by which foods are deemed kosher by a mashgiach, or kosher supervisor. In particular, the kosher slaughtering of animals, or sharita, specifies that animals must be killed by severing the jugular vein.
One of the elements to it will be actually the physical holding of the chicken. Hold the neck as tight as possible and making the cut in the right place.
It also does not allow for any form of anesthesia first. This practice has recently garnered criticism with animal rights activists. However, according to some researchers, such as Temple Grandin and Joe M. Regenstein, kosher slaughter, when practiced correctly, does not cause undue pain or suffering to the animal.
We destroy the life
Oh,
of
they
the
know.
animal, then we use it. And I only feel bad if I made a mistake. And then that animal that died, I can't eat, and I can't give to any of my friends to eat.
The Quran accepts polygyny. Religious polygamy has been practiced in various forms throughout history, including in the stories of the Bible. As modern scholars explain, it's a remnant of tribal society, when the religion and the family were closely intertwined.
We've got 3 wives, 1 husband, 11 kids. We are a family.
In some societies, having multiple wives was seen as a way to ensure the continuation of the tribe or clan. In Islam, the Quran suggests that monogamy is the preferred form of marriage.
If people can see, what the greater benefit is, it's not we are not stupid who are forced to be in this kind of relationship.
Still, the Quranic passage, Surah 4, verse 3, is often used to justify polygyny, the practice of men having multiple wives. The passage allows men to marry up to 4 wives with the stipulation that they must be treated equally.
One of the conditions of polygamy is that you have to be fair and just between your wives.
Unfortunately, in many countries, this passage has been used to justify the oppression of women. Jehovah's Witnesses...
Now here's the thing, okay? And I'm not bashing anybody's religion. Hey, you do you, man, But for me, I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. For me, 4 women, yay. Even if you're in a specific type of religion, it's still 4 different individuals who were raised in 4 different homes. They're going to have different worldviews despite being in the same religion. No one person sees the world the same as a human. They see the world the same maybe for political reasons, for religious reasons and stuff like that. But as a human being, what you see, I don't see. So that has to cause some kind of a, unrest within the house, you know what I mean? And there's no way no man will not favor one wife to another. Either one is prettier, because we are a visual society. I know it may have worked before, I don't know. But in these times, the way we are such a visual society, nobody could escape it. Somebody's going to be favored over the others. And what about women having 4 husbands? Why does everybody look down upon that if it happens? I don't know. Comment down below. Tell me if there's societies where a woman could have 4 husbands. Why is it okay for men to have 4 wives and not okay for women to have 4 husbands? Not that I'm saying it's right or wrong. I'm just asking a question. So don't jump me in the comment section. Somebody put in the comment section, you leave Islam alone or we'll come for you. Why? I'm real careful with my words when I talk. So I'm not going to degrade what you believe. I'm not going to do it. You do you. Let's see how your society works out doing that. You know what I'm saying? That's on you there. As long as what you believe don't infringe on me, I really don't care what you do. I don't like it when somebody tries to tell me what I should believe.
Cannot receive blood transfusions, which can endanger lives. Jehovah's Witnesses are a Christian denomination founded in the late 19th century in the United States.
The founder was Charles Taze Russell, a biblical scholar who, like other religious founders, had his own interpretation of the Bible. Russell would say that the world was soon coming to an end and expressed this and other thoughts in a journal called The Watchtower.
They have a number of beliefs that set them apart from other Christian groups, one of which has major real-world consequences on their medical care. Jehovah's Witnesses see life as a divine gift represented by blood, and that accepting blood transfusions violates biblical commands to abstain from blood.
Because I am one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I don't take blood transfusions.
With Sydney's beliefs as a Jehovah's Witness limiting her treatment options, the Cancer Center team got to work figuring out the best way to treat Sydney while avoiding a blood transfusion.
As a result, transfusions are not allowed, even if the circumstances are life-threatening. This belief has led to some high-profile cases where Jehovah's Witness patients have refused transfusions and died as a result.
We appreciate all you're doing for our boy, but your blood wouldn't save his life, it would condemn him.
Mormons were once at war with the U.S. The early history
Here we
of the
go
Mormons
again.
is an era steeped in blood. For years, Mormons were persecuted for their beliefs and faced genocide.
What if I told you the Mormons were the victims of genocide?
I wouldn't believe that. Only because I think it's this country that things like that don't happen.
After a number of skirmishes and small battles, things came to a head in 1838. The governor of Missouri ordered their extermination.
The state militia launched a surprise attack on a Mormon settlement called Hans Mill.
Almost all of the 10,000 Mormons in Missouri fled, and they eventually settled in Utah. That didn't end the conflict, however. In 1857, President Buchanan sent a military force to Utah.
Buchanan set out a laundry list of alleged treasonous activities committed by the Mormons, and in May 1857, he sent 2,500 heavily armed federal troops to subdue the Utah Territory.
Wow.
Fearful of more persecution,
Did not know that.
the Mormons blocked the army from entering the Salt Lake Valley, and there were some violent incidents, including the Mountain Meadows Massacre, where non-Mormon settlers were killed. Eventually, the church and the U.S. government came to terms in 1858, though tensions lasted long after that. The Apostolic Penitentiary. The Apostolic Penitentiary was said to have formed sometime in the 12th century and kept relatively hush until 2009, when its members held their first ever press conference. The Apostolic Penitentiary is responsible for forgiving sins in the Catholic Church that are beyond the authority of ordinary priests.
If someone seeks aid from the penitentiary, that means they have been touched by the grace of the Lord, that they want to put themselves back in the grace of God, and we are happy to be able to offer this service of mercy, piety, and charity.
According to the Church, there are 5 especially grave sins: desecrating the Eucharist, breaking the confessional seal, offering confession to one's sexual partners, participating in abortion before becoming a priest, and attempted assassination of a pope.
We grant absolutions to some very serious sins that are considered delicts in canon law.
When your case is taken up by the Apostolic Penitentiary, the results are usually either absolution or excommunication. Some Buddhist monks starve themselves to death. Monks and other similar figures of many religious traditions practice asceticism. Ascetics separate themselves from the world in order to attain enlightenment or religious fulfillment.
For over 1,000 years, these hilltop hermits have been on a quest to find true enlightenment. And to achieve this lofty goal, they'll push themselves to the very brink of death.
Few, though, go to the extreme of Buddhist Sokshin Butsu monks. Some modern historians trace the practice back to Kukai, the founder of Shingon Buddhism. Sokshin Butsu monks would, over the course of 3,000 days, reduce their diet to pine needles, tree resin, and seeds. All the fat from their bodies vanished. They would eat and drink less and less while in a state of jhana, or constant meditation.
Believing that unburdening his body of fat, muscle, and moisture will bring him to the edge of death and elevate him to true spiritual enlightenment, allowing him to live and meditate forever.
We won't go into details here, but eventually they would die, having effectively mummified themselves while still alive.
They would go into a small chamber just big enough to sit in the lotus position. It would be sealed up except for a reed that allowed a little air in, and inside the monk had a bell. One day, the bell would not ring.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel
Wow.
and ring the bell to get notified about
That's
our latest
crazy.
videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into settings and switch on your notifications. The celebration of Purim has a violent history. One of the most popular holidays on the Jewish calendar is Purim. It's often replete with eating, drinking, and present giving.
Purim is the strangest and most upside-down day on the Jewish calendar. It's a day that we dress up in costumes. We read a scroll called the Scroll of Esther about a story that supposedly happened in Persia with heroes and villains.
But the holiday celebrates a rather tense story. It comes from the book of Esther, a narrative of palace intrigue and murder. The story goes that Haman, a high-ranking official in the Persian court, devised a plot to massacre all the Jews in Persia. The queen of Persia, Esther, who herself was Jewish, foiled his plans after interceding with King Ahasuerus.
In a moment of supreme total awesomeness, Esther says, "Honey, Haman wants to kill all the Jews." And he's like, "What? I had no idea." And she's like, "Honey, I'm a Jew."
Enraged that his decree could kill his own wife, Ahasuerus reversed course. He killed Haman and his sons and allowed Persia's Jews to defend themselves from their enemies. They did, and it recounted 75,000 of their enemies fell.
The way that we remember what Purim calls us to do is actually a very, very interesting phrase in the scroll. It says nafochu. It is a day literally of flipping it upside down.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these
Wow, that was quite interesting. Religion is such a controversial subject because people believe so hard in their religious faith that one has to be careful how they say things or how they look at it. If any of these things on here isn't explained properly, comment down below, and no fighting. I'm just trying to understand. You see what I'm saying? Thing. I'm not trying to say this person is bad or that person is bad. You know what I mean? I'll get along with anybody as a human being because I see the human, then I see the belief systems that comes along with them, and that's how I learn how to deal with people. I also take into consideration what people do when they believe in those things. And then you go from there. I don't know if that's making any sense, you know what I mean? Like people do atrocious things under a belief system. It's easy to rile somebody up using religion to do certain things. And we can't disparage a whole faith just because a few people doing something, did something, or speak of doing something. That's the best way I could put it, y'all. You know what I mean? Comment down below, tell me what you think. I'll leave a link to the description in the video so you can go check it out. Add certain things about certain religions that you may find inhumane or disgusting without condemnation, disgust. It just is what it is. Religions have certain things that they believe that they do. Cultures have certain things that they believe that they do. Traditional things, same thing. Political things, same thing. You know what I'm saying? The main driving factor behind all of that is human beings. We are far from perfect. Far from perfect. You know, we'll instigate things in all of those realms to control each other, be it with fear or happiness. But comment down below and let me know what you all think about this, you know what I mean? And in the meantime, man, you know, if you enjoyed this, drop a like, share the video, you know what I mean? So more people could comment and see what the vibe is. And please, y'all, let's take care of each other, alright? Cool runnings.